So it's about 8, a little before. I've been up, maybe an hour at the most. The internet's out. Um, it's just not connecting. Um, I'm not going to explain this here, but I mean, I'm going through a third party provider to a big company, and I basically blame it on the big company sometimes. When I don't connect, I get put on the bottom of the queue or whatever else. But, so I'm getting something to eat, and I am throwing out a banana sticker here. Um, Again, I also want to make a note about these lights. I left them on all night last night because I found a roach in here yesterday morning when I woke up. That's the benefit of that system. Um, they don't they don't like light at all, and it's a very bright light, so having that on keeps them out. Um, Again, where exactly they are is not entirely clear, but they're not in my unit proper. I'm almost certain of that. It's more like they're like in behind the walls, um, and more out like into the laundry room area. That's where they actually are, and so they come in here once in a while, sort of thing. Um, I see maybe 4 or 5 a year kind of thing. So like it's if I had a really bad infestation, like it wouldn't. If I had an infestation at all, I would see far more than that. The fact that I only see a couple means that I'm like in some kind of like transit area or like just beyond where the nest is, kind of thing. Um, the reality is in this neighborhood. I mean, there's not the best things that I can do are things like keep the lights on, spray once in a while. In the spring, I will take all of this out and replace the steel wool. If you take a look around, you'll see that there's steel wool in strategic places. It's to block off certain holes. It's just, I mean, it's the neighborhood, right? Um, it doesn't really matter what I do if the neighbor next door lets them breed like crazy in their basement, or if they're breeding like crazy in the sewers. It's roaches are not. We think of roaches as an individual problem, but they're not. They're a community problem. And the only way to really deal with a roach problem in a community is for everybody in the community to get together and work on it. Which means, synchronized, baiting and capture programs, synchronized spraying, and a coordinated effort to ensure that it's kept out. If we have a situation where I'm doing one thing and the next door neighbor is doing another thing and I across the street is doing something else, then you're never going to get anywhere. It's just entirely stupid, really. And again, I see things clearly. The world is stupid. That's how things are, right? So, um, and more than anything else, in an old neighborhood like this, and this is an old neighborhood. This is um, one of the oldest neighborhoods in Canada, in North America. It's was settled in the very early 1700s by French settlers, and you can see that it's an old neighborhood. You still have walkways for horses, and so the sewer system is ancient, and the roach networks are ancient. Um, it's really like if people that lived in this neighborhood really wanted to get rid of the cockroaches in the neighborhood, the only way that would really actually work would be for the city to come in and do it. Um, it would be the only actual effective way to actually eliminate the problem. Would for it to be like a city-run program, and it would have to be kept up with, maintained periodically every little once in a while, kind of thing, right? So, um, such is the truth of it. If you live in an older neighborhood like this with property that is not, see, like I say, even if there are a couple of people in the street that are upkeeping their property, just that one, that one house on the corner, if it becomes a nest, um, is is going to take the whole neighborhood down, right? So, um, now, could this be done? Could I go out and organize it? Yeah, like, yeah, good luck, right? I mean, to begin with, this is like I don't own this property, so I have very little. Um, there's almost nothing I can do as an individual relating to this property. I need to call my landlord and get the landlord to do everything. That's number one. And number two, like you can't. People are assholes. Like it's a universal condition in the world. It's just how the reality of things are. Like you cannot get people to think in any sort of a community sense in any way. I mean, and, we can sort of isolate problems. It's your upbringing. It's everything else. Da da da. It's the media. It's the education system. It's the way your parents raised you. All of these things designed to completely obliterate any sort of communal thinking. Um, and we can have those discussions, and they're valid and everything else. But in a practical sense, it's hopeless to do something as simple as get a neighborhood together to work on a roach problem together. It'll never, you know, like within 5 minutes, somebody will storm out and say, "I'm doing it my way. It's my way or the highway," and that's it. Like it falls apart, and because in order to address the problem, it has to be a community-wide, effort. Um, it's doomed from the start, kind of thing, right? So, I mean, that's really the other solutions are to move up, right? Like in the sky, right? You could. Um, the floors have gotten quite cold overnight. It's strange. They weren't cold like this before, and it's warmed up. I guess again, this is the phenomena I was speaking of, where it warms up outside and it gets colder down here because the heat gets turned off. Um, yeah, the ground's like the floor is like frozen solid. Well, I mean it's a strange way to articulate that. The floor is not liquid, so it doesn't melt, and thus if it freezes. But it's cold, and you can definitely tell that it's very cold, which is very strange. I wonder if my computer got turned off. That's something I'll check in a minute. Anyways, yeah. So yeah, the lights. Um, if I turn them off, well, I turn them on. If I turn them off and on after they've been on for a long time, that one on the far side closest to me makes a hell of a nasty sound for a few minutes and then clicks back in. Um, Again, I don't know if we're dealing with like is the fixture broken or is there a field issue that's kind of working its way down and back up. Um, as I mentioned before, the thing that changed was that it got cold, right? So I'm thinking there might be some interference there with the furnace. Now, as I mentioned before, because the interference is all across the neighborhood, that can't be the meta problem, but it might be a small problem. Meaning I've got three kind of things that might be affecting each other: the furnace upstairs, the light fixture, and the fridge. Um, Maybe the fridge. What I will want to test over the next week or two is this: as the furnace comes down, does the light go out? Because because, like I say, it seemed to be that when you turn the furnace up, the light fixture turned it back on. Does that work in reverse? When you turn the furnace down, as will happen this week, does the light fixture come back out? Then I will know that there's something there. If not, then I'll have to conclude it with something else, like maybe some maintenance on some lines, or maybe some wind knocked something back in place, or who knows what, right? But obviously, that's what we all want, right? This indicates that it's working properly. But the messy situation that happens when I turn it off and on, and I'll see if I can catch it next time I do it. Right now I'm getting something to eat, don't really want to sit under buzzy lights for the next 10 minutes. But indicates that there's something funny again. And again, we don't know if it's the actual fixture or if it's something around it that's messing with it. But for now, I do want to keep those on as much as I can, probably until the spring, when I can clear everything out and reapply the pesticides in the cracks, and replace the steel wool and all those sorts of things. It's just whenever it looks like spring has stuck, that's when I'll do that. Whether that's the middle of February or the beginning of March is still hard to say. It will depend on the weather, which again, there's no snow out there. But yeah, I'm going to get something to eat, and hopefully by the time I'm done eating, the internet will be back up. Today is tomato sandwich day, so that means that I have a tomato sticker to throw in the garbage. And that is one way to eat Triscuits. You see we got the cheese on there, we got the Caesar salad dressing, although you could double that for hummus or anything else. I don't think this is particularly surprising. I think that's how most people eat their Triscuits, but it is quite good. I'm more pointing that out because I've been eating my Triscuits plain, and certainly there are other ways to eat them besides plain as well. That's the end of the third box. I don't think I'm going to open box 4 right away. Those are the really good ones. I'll have to wait and see if I'm actually hungry or not. Remember, the whole point of this is to be tiding myself over between meals due to the differences in appetite as a consequence of not smoking. Just the need to have munchies around. I would not normally do that. So, I mean, if I find I'm not hungry, then that may actually end up in the cupboard for a bit. We'll find out. Regarding garbage, I did actually get through another entire container of cheese, and this was quick. Again, I don't really have an excuse this time. It was a fast run through. So be it. But the cheese wrapper goes in the garbage.
So I think as we look into the next couple of years, I anticipate the economy will continue to grow. I think today was not an outlier. I think there is wind beneath our wings.
Did she ever tell you you're her hero? So it's about 4, and I thought I was done. I really did. But an entirely new category of posts just appeared. Comments on other people's Facebook pages. That's good. That's more data. And I will gladly add that to the list. But it means there's a little bit more to do. I hope that shows up on my main profile as well. It didn't before. I hope it does. It's that coffee again. And in fact, I have had a little bit of coffee. That was a nice seg. I should have a talk show. Should I have a talk show? I think that's what the end result of this is. Um, Although I would like quit in 5 minutes. I'd be like, this sucks. Get me out of here. But I wouldn't have the patience for it. You know, like I'd like kibosh half the guests. You know, like you suck, you suck. You know, let's get this obscure, math rock band from Rhode Island in instead. And you know, like Bieber, I don't want to talk to him. Oh, he's a douchebag. Get him out of here. Like my talk show would be very um, alternative. Maybe that's what I am. I'm the alternative on the internet. That hasn't really developed yet. You've got the mainstream on the internet, and then you've got like um, the geekdom on the internet. But there's no like, that alt space. I mean, it might look like an alt space relative to like 1975, right? But it was like it's mainstream. It's the truth. These things they might. I guess if you're older than me, anyways, you might think it looks old, but it's not. And I might not look very old, but I am. So, yeah. I have been having a little bit of coffee withdrawals. It's manifesting as just like a sudden tiredness and like the need to nap. Um, I've had a few over the last 48 hours. It didn't hit right away. It took a little bit. Um, and I'm out of loose Mountain Dew. I call the Mountain Dew Dr Pepper a lot. Um, I used to drink tons of Dr Pepper, but that's been replaced with Mountain Dew. Um, it's a little bit softer. Um, Mountain Dew now is very um, it's much harsher. It's just the carbonation is harsher. The Mountain Dew has more of like it's like drinking caffeinated ginger ale. It's a softer flow. But I mean, here's something to impress your American friends with Canadian trivia. Mountain Dew didn't have caffeine in it in Canada for the longest time. The reason is that it wasn't black, not racism, and not Mormonism either. Although it's kind of somewhere in between. It was just that the law said that in order to be a caffeinated, in order to be in order to be a caffeinated pop, you had to be black. Like I guess it kind of sounds like a little bit of like affirmative action there, but I mean, this was just what the law said. They changed it to allow for energy drinks, and so Mountain Dew is in Canada classified as an energy drink rather than as a pop. Um, anyways, that's allowed me to move over to that. But I still get them mixed up, and I mean, I Dr Pepper from time to time. It's just I've switched over almost entirely. I almost always go for the Mountain Dew nowadays. But yeah, so it's kind of like the downtime, and it hasn't really the caffeine in the Mountain Dew. I mean, it's helped to for a bit, but I think it's because it's less constant, right? Um, and you're just not going to drink as much pop as you drink coffee. It's just you don't. Or at least I don't. And maybe that's why I'm not diabetic and overweight. But I wouldn't do that. Um, it's just something I wouldn't do. So the result is that my caffeine intake has gone down, and I have had a reaction to that. Although it hasn't gone to none. So, um, but do I feel less jittery? Sorta. It's not. It's like it's gone down a notch, rather than gone away altogether. So it's I went from 11 to 9, right? So it's like it's still there, but it's just less. At least it seems like there's some connection, anyways. But it might be psychological. It might have something to do with something else. I don't know. I just don't know. I just really don't know. What I do know is that is that presuming that this is the last layer in the sequence, I'm just about done. But it means going through all the comments that I made over all those years on other people's pages and pulling them off. So um, I think it's by the end of the night kind of thing. And then I can move over to the next thing. What is the next thing? I think the next thing needs to be to go through my Firefox history first, and pull as much stuff out of there as I can. Actually, that's not true. The immediate next thing will be to move to my main Facebook profile and basically wipe it down as much as I can. I already did this once, so I already wiped all down, pretty much all of it all the way through. It's just up until I guess I have to go from November forwards, and like I say, I'm kind of hoping that I get my comments in, because if I get my comments in, then I can go through and pull those off too. That will be beneficial, no question. So there's that as well. And then it's that. So that's what I'm doing for the next couple of days. I'm also probably not going to wait for the coffee. I figure I've got. Well, the thing is, the juice went quicker than I expected. That's really the issue. So because the juice went quicker than I expected, the Mountain Dew is going to go quicker, and I'm going to guess that I'll probably get some soy milk at the store tomorrow, along with possibly some ice cream. That was the stuff that I left aside. I am happy I got the extra cheese because I have opened it, as you saw, and now I am going to go back to doing what I was doing. So it's about 10 o'clock. I'm warm in my blankie, so we're going to do this right here. And how far have I gotten on this? Well, I have deleted the page. I mean, I've got everything off of it, and it's deleted. It's gone. So that is a big step, at the least. Now I need to figure out what it is that I'm going to do with all of this information that I've transferred into a series of Word documents. This is my major temp file that I will need to merge into my major file. I fixed the margins, and once I fixed the margins, I realized that it's not nearly as much as I thought. It's only about 300 pages, and in fact, it will end up being less than that because I'm going to merge some of this. So, much less than I thought, and that's a positive. In fact, I know that there's a lot of overlap going through here. So, at the very least, the documents merged easily. I got up until, well, so I had a temp document that was up until March here. There was one entry for May, and then nothing again until July. My archive document was from April till June, so that actually I just copied and pasted it right into there. But it's not dated, so I need to figure that out. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run through all of this and see if I can figure out how much of this is duplicate. And if I can figure out how much of it's duplicate, then I can try and figure out where it is that it fits in. What I can say is that for this stuff, I have a broad outline. For this stuff, I think I'm ultimately going to conclude that it's mostly random, but I need to figure that out. If I can find sort of patterns that let me broadly place this kind of line of thinking during this period and etc., then I should be able to get sort of a rough approximation. But I mean, I know
flat out that for a lot of this stuff, I'm going to be guessing, and it's just more important that it gets put down somewhere. In the year 2030, is anybody going to care if I read this article on November 5th or November 12th? I'd say that that's a pretty low likelihood, isn't it? Anybody really wanting to tell the difference there? It's just getting it in a way that makes sense and is consistent at least. So that's going to be my task for tonight. Probably for a few days, anyways. Like I say, if I can work this document down, I'm pretty sure that that'll do most of the heavy working for me. And then it's just kind of a process of picking dates over the spring of 2012. It's still a good amount of work before I can move on to the next thing, though. That's but I'm making progress. It's incremental. How am I feeling? I was nicking today. Quite a bit. But keep going on that. My throat is it's unusually full. I'll say that. Like I want to, like it's you can hear that I'm like it sounds like I'm losing my voice kind of thing. Even though I've barely spoken in weeks. Well, besides to this camera, I suppose. The truth is I've barely spoken in years. Anyways, the temperature has warmed up, so I should be able to get in the shower a little after midnight. I don't think I'll be up much later than that, so this is probably the end of the day. But I am making progress with this. It's a long. I knew this was going to be a long, dry process when I started it. That's why I wanted it to be a quitting smoking project. And it's giving me lots of time to quit smoking, even if it's taking a long time.
Now I want to point something out here. I have showered and changed my clothes. It may not look like it. It's because I have several white t-shirts like this. You may see me wearing white t-shirts for weeks at a time. It doesn't mean that I didn't change my shirt. It just I happen to have several shirts that are just like this. If you pay close attention, you can tell, that they have stains in different spots, coffee stains mostly, or they're ripped in different places. I haven't left my house in days. In fact, in the last roughly 3 weeks, I've left it, I think, twice to do groceries. So, I mean, I'm not really that invested in putting it on anything fancy. It's like basically loafing clothes, and that's what it is. So, yeah, you will notice that frequently, probably, that I'm wearing a white shirt for weeks at a time, months at a time. Does that girl not change? Does she not change her shirt? What's going on here? I do. It's just, I have a lot of shirts that look the same. It's the same thing with the hair. When I brush the hair, it looks the same as if I didn't brush the hair, because it's just the way the hair is. Yeah, I feel better. Anyways.